Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, so we're going to get back into how to deal with this market. Brooke, can you just send me a private message with that sheet that has all those questions on it? So we have a webinar coming up on tomorrow, actually. So I encourage you to join, but here's the good news for all of us. I have over 300 questions that agents have about today's market. And guess what? Unless they're here, they're most likely not going to have the answers to all of them. So my goal now is to take these answers, these questions, provide you all the answers so you can go out and crush the market. Sound good? So does anyone have any challenges that have come up in the last day or so that they'd like to share with the group? All right, this is where I start getting a little worried. Over the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, no one has said anything to any of you that are kind of like, what's going on? What should I say? What do I do?
I'll go. So I've got a listing right now, and the sellers, I think vastly overvalue their house. And, where even a month ago, had we hit the market, they would have been on time, but they just missed the window. And so, I think it's not, a terribly unique experience, especially I was actually sort of reassured yesterday hearing the conversation. But I guess the question is, how do you tell how do you lead them to, the understanding that they missed it?
I would start, the first thing I would start with is days on market, right? What is the days on market that just generally would have sold for before the market shift? Unmute yourself, keep yourself unmuted.
Oh yeah, sure. So on a listing like this, if it lasted a weekend, like typically, we listed Thursday, and usually by Tuesday, we're calling for best and final offers.
Okay, perfect. So have you gone through this at all with the people?
A little bit. We did.
And what did they say?
I mean, I've been giving them daily recaps just about how things are going. And, when, when we weren't just booking up with showings on Friday and had no showings on Saturday, the alarm bells were going off. And so my approach has been, to sort of soften things a little bit by explaining that this is sort of a big vacation week, that, typically activity around this time, and I have not gone back to the data to sort of verify this, but typically things are a little bit slower around the 4th of July and the market is shifting. So let's wait and see.
Are they living in the house?
No, they've already moved.
Oh, okay. This is easy now. All right. So what you want to do is realize this. The properties that they're looking at, Wayne's laughing. The properties that they're looking at that sold, you're looking at the sold date, correct?
Yeah.
That date is completely irrelevant. The day the property went into contract is that market. So you're going to want to identify that all the homes that they're looking for were on this date, right?
Right.
Now go back and go with your mortgage lender and tell these people what the interest rate was on that date. Because if you go back 45 days ago, the rates were like a percentage and a half cheaper. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. And that goes back to having that chart that we talked about. You need to sit down with the lender and have this chart made.
Cool.
Right. For all these properties and explain it to them, then ask them the question that we talked about. Right. And I would go back and I would say, look, the average home was selling in this many days. We're on for this many days. What is your plan B if we continue not to get showings? Are you open to renting the home? We know they don't want to rent the home, but you still want to say it anyway. And they're like,
Right.
no, we don't want to do that. And then you're going to say, okay, based on what we see, what's going on, there are 3 different scenarios, because I'm sure there are other homes they're competing with, right?
Oh yeah.
I haven't used this one in a while. I don't think I said this one to you guys yesterday. Look, when you're in an area where you're competing against other people, most of Ruben I know really like this one. It's either the first person's going to set the market, the next home's going to follow the market, and the third person's going to get left with the market. And ultimately, right now, no one has done either. So which one would you prefer to be?
Right.
Right. The other part is letting these people know that, look, do you feel that a real estate market is an all-time high? Yes. Do you think, as if you were a buyer and the rates continue to go up and how much you could afford for the same amount of money went down, would you expect the prices to come down too? And you're going to say yes. So knowing that, how do we maximize and protect your equity to get the most out of it in the peak market?
I like that.
Boom, money in the bank. Listen, knowing what to say right now is the most valuable thing you have. Anybody else? Good God, you guys are really worrying me today. All right, I'll go through my own examples then today. Let's see. Brooke made this all nice for us, so thank you, Brooke. All right, so here's some of the top questions we have, and start putting in the chat. How to clearly convey to sellers this is not the market was in 2021 or the beginning of 2022. How to coach buyers into not waiting until prices drop before buying. Handling concerns on affordability and rising interest rates. Those are some. Now, put in the chat which one you want to hear about. What is your latest script response to buyers saying, should we wait to see if the market is going to do, or is now a good time to buy? How to make sellers realistic on pricing. It's the same one. How to effectively set expectations. It's a different one. How to prep sellers when they want to price high since the comps haven't really caught up. How to settle worried buyers' fears. They think prices will continue to go down, so they want to wait. How increased interest rates are going to affect home prices. How to deal with sellers who panic because they don't have multiple offers. What will the market be in a year from now? I love all the crystal ball questions. So which ones do you all want to hear? Which buyer conversation? All right, buyers waiting. We'll start with that. All right, Heidi, I'm going to unmute you. Oh, you're unmuted already. Hello. Maybe it's mine. Can I hear you? Okay, so when we talk about buyers waiting, right? This is how we need to realign the conversation. All right, Bonnie, I'm going to unmute you. It's easier when I have a second party. Good morning, Brooke. You don't have to spotlight her.
Good morning.
So give me some context to the buyers waiting, and then I have an actual scenario to just kind of riff off of.
My buyers, we were looking at property for about a week and a half, and the interest rates started going up, and the market started going. They were investors, and the investment market, their investment started going down, and they completely pulled up stakes and said, "We're not doing this anymore."
Most investors will wait.
Right. Yep.
Right. Well, give me an example of an actual buyer one. Do you have any?
Not right now. They were my big ones. We had been looking for a while.
Well, get on the phone today and call 10 people in your database and start conversations. You'll find new clients.
Okay. All right. Good idea.
All right, who has, Heidi, can you share a little more about buyers? Or I don't think your sound's connected. Does anyone want to just give me a quick scenario of a buyer wanting to wait?
Okay, me. Okay, this is Anna. I've been working with two millennials, second generation clients. And they just told me, this has been going for 3 months that I've been working with them. And they just throw the towel and told me, no way, we are gonna wait. So.
And did they tell you why?
Well, because they were financing 95% and competing with everybody out there was crazy to find something for them in their price range with that type of financing. And they decided to save more money and come back to the market. They don't care about the interest rate. They just want to have 20% down. So they're gonna, come.
You ever hear of an objection in a condition? That's a condition, right? Somebody who's set on having 20% down, that's the condition. So that one is moving on. So a buyer, I'll make up an example. Buyer's been looking for 3 months. Rates have continued to go up. Excuse me. And after that, they say, Julie, I'm not really sure if I want to keep looking, right? We're not really finding what we want, and we're really unsure if we should keep going. Raise your hand if that sounds familiar. Perfect. So we need to realign these conversations in advance. Go back to all your buyers who've been looking, like starting, I would say, as far back as January, right? And over the last 45 days that have not found a property. And I'd reach out to them and said, hey, I just want to take a moment to realign on the updates in the market, interest rates, based on your original goals and expectations. When would be a great time for us to meet for 30 minutes? Realign, right? Based on their original goals and expectations. What do those words say to somebody? I acknowledge that things have changed. I acknowledge that you started off in a different place. And let's see how we could realign to see if this makes sense for you, right? It's the same conversation. Number one, emotional intelligence, acknowledge the gap, right? If you're like, oh, Wayne, it's only $700 more a month. Can you afford it? You sound like a snake oil salesman. That's what we're going to tell them, but in a lot more classy way. So I would say, Julie, look, I just want to acknowledge bring your original pre-approval and an updated one, right? So you're going to look at the two pre-approvals and you're going to say, look, based on this is what changed. And I just want to acknowledge that it's not great. And I'm sure you're not feeling great about it. And I just want you to know I understand that. I would use the word, if I was talking to someone, I would just acknowledge this sucks, right? You started here at this rate, which was originally higher than what you expected. And now you're here and it just sucks. And I just want you to know that I'm on the same page with you. And they're going to say yes. And you're going to say, look, what we want to do is look at the scenario in the eyes of your goals and your expectations and align them with today's market and see if it makes sense for you. See if it makes sense for you. Listen, we want to pretend like we don't care if they buy a house or not, because in the end, you really shouldn't. If they buy a house, it's their choice. If they don't buy a house, it's their choice. Nothing has to do with you, right? So now we continue the conversation. And you're going to say, okay, based on these two pre-approvals, given that they can afford the house, right? Like some people, the rates go up, they're just literally priced out. Now I would turn around and I would say to them, we've identified a $700 or $800 difference. Now, based on the difference, let's look and see what if scenario one, you feel you understand the market, you're okay with the change, and based on the opportunities available, you feel comfortable moving forward. Option two, you could realize based on the changes, unless you find the perfect home or prices come down, you're not going to buy a house. Option three, we could look at the rental options, or option four, staying where you are. And whatever you do is 100% okay. And then you go through the different options. Is that a hard conversation to have? Does anyone think it's a hard conversation to have? Raise their hand. No, because you're not doing anything that's not in alignment with their goals, their expectations, and in their benefit. Yeah, Miriam pointed a good 10. Some move up buyers are not moving, right? Because they're at 2.7 rates, 3% rates, and they don't want to do 5.7, 100%. Murray, good morning. I have a few buyers married to the idea that there's inevitable market crash and they'll just wait until then. I'd like to make sure I can have constructive conversations to identify if there's a point in the market, whether it's the price or average or the interest rates, they feel they can no longer wait or sidelines and watch everything up and up and up. Does it sound like counterproductive conversation for someone who seems to be set on the idea of a huge market crash? All right, Miriam, where is Murray? Hold on.
I can hear you.
All right, good. All right, so number one, what is the reason these people want to move?
Yeah, I mean, most of it just involved, at least for these, 2 to 3 folks, it has involved just the idea of renting and putting money in someone else's pocket and paying off their mortgage, especially in the greater Boston area, it's a pretty heavy penny. And so a lot of them are thinking that it's, makes more sense, at least at some point over the past, 12 months, that it made more sense for them to start buying or, to get into the buyer market. However, it didn't happen. And so now, they're thinking, okay, there's, it seems the market's slowing down. There's less competition. I can definitely wait it out. But as we're seeing, the interest rates are going up, and I wouldn't say prices are going down, but from week to week, the price increases aren't as drastic as they were, maybe a year ago or so.
So the number one thing with people like this, I can tell you, these people, they're going to say, so your goal, I would ask them, so we're on the same page. I'd say, Murray, so your goal is to wait for a market crash where you could buy a house 20%, 30% less than you're seeing now.
Right. And then kind of so put tangible numbers so they can then have a better frame of what they're actually
and
waiting
if
for.
they're like, yeah, that's what I'm waiting for, they're not real clients because they're completely unrealistic.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Because
very helpful.
I'm waiting for a market crash. That's a nice way of saying I don't want to pay any of these prices. I just want a huge discount. And you're going to say, if there's a market crash, do you still think the homes will be competitive for people buying at a discount? The answer is 100%, because all these investors and people have made all this money over the last few years and have all this cash, those properties are still going to get bid up.
Right.
See, what makes this very different than everything else is the lack of inventory. Look, like Miriam said, if you're at a 2.5%, 3% interest rate, why would you move up to 6%? You're not going to. All these investors have I call it shadow inventory, right? Normally investors put their homes on the market, they sell them with renters, they need money or whatever. I can't tell you how many clients and people I personally know and people that I know this from all of our clients around the country, all of their investors, when the rates were in the 2%, they cashed out refi. They took hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity out of their houses. They refinanced the rate to 30-year fixed mortgages, and they're getting more cash flow, and they took money out. They're never selling these properties. So inventory is still going to continue to be tight.
I see. Okay, thank you.
So if these people are going to do a market crash, it's a great. Don't. I'm telling you, don't waste your time with these people. Identify a number, and you can say, great, we'll stay in touch. And if the market does crash and I find properties at 20, 30% discount, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's definitely a good way to kind of just drop dead weight, or maybe, there's if there's a chance that they kind of have a more realistic view for themselves after saying it out loud, maybe they can have change of heart. But you're right. It's just a good way to identify, are they
Listen,
wasting
for
time?
you as an agent with people like this, completely detached, give them what they want. Melissa Rubin will tell you a lot about these kinds of buyers. She specializes in them. So if you want to talk to somebody who has a lot of experience in these kinds of people and actually getting them to spend money, I encourage you to reach out to Melissa in Miami. She's a pro at dealing with these people. And look, the reality is when someone wants a discount, don't try to sell them anything. Say, great, no problem. If I see something like this, I'll let you know. And look, if it ever changes where you get tired of paying rent and you want to buy at market value, I'm happy to help you. And I would make sure to use the word market value.
Yeah. Because at that point, it's out of my control. It's not something that I'm pricing. It's just that's the way the market is.
The whole thing is out of your control. You have nothing to do with the price, the market, or anything. It's always your choice.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, Talita, where are you?
Hi, Chirag. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? I have a cash buyer not worried about interest rates, but convinced if they wait 3 more months, they'll get a better deal after 2 months of showing them properties. So my question to the buyers is, I know your time is really valuable. If you feel that the deals are better in 3 months, what specifically has you looking for properties today?
Yeah, they needed to move, but now they extended the lease and they just said, I'm going to wait. So there's really much I can do.
No, just stay in touch with them.
Yeah.
And ask them, what does a good deal look like to you? Or what does a right deal look like for you? So when I see it, I can make sure that I identify it and see where they are. How long they extend their lease for?
6 months.
Oh, so they have time.
Yeah. The thing is they want to put offers now 15% less than what the asking price is, which is still not going, especially here in South Florida,
In South Florida, not a chance in the world.
I know.
So the conversation is realigning them with, right? Finding a couple properties that just went into contract and being like, look, I reached out to the agents. This is what they're selling it. The properties have not gone down 15% in value. And always bring it back to their time, right? I don't want you to go out and spend your time doing this where we both know it's not going to be effective because people aren't taking these discounts, right? But that's when showing them the comps, right? And saying, look, if you're selling your house and you're looking at this data, would you take 15% less? They're going to say no.
Yes.
And that's the right way to get them to do it. Show them the data and ask them the right question.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I just set up a collection out of search in the area that they want, and they'll see everything that's happening. And I keep, I call them every 3-4 days, just to update them.
And what do they say?
They said that they are certainty that the market is gonna go down, and their financial advisor told to wait. So they are sitting on cash, so they are in advance. They are not competing with the interest rates. So they have some, arguments that I'm just waiting for them to understand that it's not gonna be.
Those are their beliefs. It's a different thing, right? Those are their beliefs. Another professional that they trust gave them the beliefs and just say, great. So you could say your lease is extended 3 months. What's your plan B if you can't buy a property at a 15% discount because the market doesn't support it? And see what they say.
Yeah. There is a specific area. If something comes up, I'm sure they will send an offer and all that, but they just want to wait. So I'm doing my job of keeping them updated on the market, but I cannot force them to be on the contract, so.
No. So look, everyone, this is a good example. You need to go back to the data. You need to go back to asking the right questions, right? Yeah, gotta love those financial planners.
All right.
Why don't you tell me how to recuperate some of my money in the portfolio that's probably down 40 or 50%?
Exactly. I think the financial advisors are more afraid of them getting the money out now. So they're telling them not to do it, That's what I think.
Exactly. Yep.
And I didn't, I kind of told them that because that's the same thing with my financial advisor. She didn't want me to buy all the properties right now. So I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose
The
their
portfolio.
assets.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they get paid on that every year, by the way. So it's not.
exactly.
All right. So look, as we wrap up today, a couple key takeaways, right? Understand the difference between somebody having a belief and somebody having a concern. People that have beliefs, you can't change people's beliefs. It's not going to happen. You can address people's concerns, know the data, ask the right questions, and see where people want to go. For people selling a home, like, look, you're at an all-time high. The goal is to get as much as you can out of here because there's only one way these prices are going. It's down. For buyers, it's understanding the correlation between interest rates and time, right? Right now, you know what the prices are, you know what you're getting. Go back to looking at the payment and seeing if they really want to roll the dice. Because if the rates go up another 1.5%, it's going to cost them way more money than saving $50,000 on the price. And the prices, I don't think, are going to go down anywhere nearly as quick as the rates are going to go up. So know the interest rates and set up a meeting with your mortgage banker today or broker and have him make these sheets for you that we talk about. All right, everybody, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll keep going through these questions. Is this helpful for everybody? Yes? Because this is the only conversations that you all are going to be having right now. And this is the gap that they say from where you are and where you want to be and the money that you need. So as always, with love in my heart, I love you all. Have a great day and keep practicing, stay connected with each other, and I'll see you all tomorrow.